Deep inside Eastern Europe, near the forests of Romania, there's an abandoned medical facility that almost nobody talks about anymore. From the outside, it just looks like another ruined hospital, broken windows, collapsed walls, and long, empty corridors. But locals say this place was never supposed to be abandoned. Back in the late 1990s, this hospital was secretly used for a biological research program. Officially, it was studying rare diseases, but people who worked there claim something much darker was happening inside those walls. Doctors were experimenting with a strange virus they discovered in an underground cave system nearby. At first, the virus looked harmless. The infected patients only showed small symptoms, fever, weakness, and strange hallucinations. But after a few days, things started getting weird. Patients became aggressive. Some of them stopped responding like normal humans. Their eyes turned pale, and they started attacking anyone who came close. That's when the hospital staff realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a disease. Something inside that virus was changing people completely. And then one night, the entire hospital suddenly went silent. No calls, no reports, no survivors. But years later, explorers claim they still see movement inside the building. So what actually happened inside that hospital the night everything went silent? According to leaked reports, it started around 2:13 a.m. Security cameras suddenly recorded chaos in the isolation ward. Patients who were supposed to be sedated were walking through the corridors like nothing was wrong. At first, the guards thought it was just a system failure, but when they checked the cameras again, something felt off. The patients weren't just walking. They were staring directly into the cameras, like they knew someone was watching. And one nurse tried to calm one of the infected patients. The moment she touched him, he grabbed her arm and bit straight through her glove. Within minutes, the entire ward turned into panic. Doctors tried to lock the emergency doors, but the infected patients were moving faster than anyone expected. Some were running through the hallways, others were just standing still in dark corners, whispering strange sounds. Then suddenly, the cameras started shutting off one by one. Corridor 3 offline. Emergency room offline. Main hall offline. The last camera that stayed active showed something terrifying. A group of infected patients standing in the hallway, all staring directly into the camera. And then the screen went black. When the hospital cameras went dark, the situation immediately reached the government authorities. Within a few hours, military vehicles surrounded the entire area. Roads leading to the hospital were blocked, and locals were told to stay inside their homes. Officially, the government claimed there had been a radiation leak inside the facility, but people living nearby knew that story didn't make sense. Because that night, they heard screams coming from the hospital. According to a former security officer who later spoke anonymously, the military team that entered the building expected to find survivors. But what they found inside was something else. The hallways were destroyed, medical equipment was scattered everywhere, blood stains covered the walls like something violent had happened. And the strangest part, there were no bodies, not a single patient, not a single doctor. The entire hospital looked like everyone had just disappeared. But when the soldiers reached the lower floors of the building, they started hearing strange sounds coming from the darkness. Footsteps, heavy breathing, and something moving inside the shadows. That's when the commander made a decision no one understood at the time. He ordered the entire hospital to be sealed permanently. Concrete barriers were placed at every entrance, and the place was abandoned overnight. Years later, explorers flying drones over the building claim they still see figures moving inside the broken windows. For years, the abandoned hospital stayed untouched. No one was allowed to go near it. But in 2022, a group of urban explorers decided to investigate the place using a drone camera. At first, everything looked normal. The drone flew over the broken roof, shattered windows, and empty corridors covered in dust. The building looked completely dead. But when the drone camera entered one of the hospital wings, something strange appeared on the screen. At the end of a long hallway, there was a figure standing perfectly still. The explorers thought it might just be debris or a shadow. So they moved the drone closer. That's when the figure suddenly turned its head toward the camera. The explorers immediately pulled the drone back, but before leaving the hallway, the camera captured something terrifying. More figures started appearing from the dark rooms. One, then two, and several shapes slowly walking into the corridor. They weren't moving like normal people. Their movements were slow, unnatural, almost like their bodies were broken. And the creepiest part, all of them slowly began walking toward the drone. That's when the signal suddenly cut out. No one knows what those figures were, but many people believe the virus inside that hospital never disappeared. After that drone footage spread online, people started asking the same question. If the hospital was sealed years ago, and who were those figures inside the building? The government quickly removed the video from several websites and called it fake footage. The explorers who filmed it say something even stranger happened after that night. A drone was later recovered near the forest outside the hospital. The camera battery was dead, but the memory card was still inside. When they checked the final seconds of the recording, they noticed something they hadn't seen before. Just before the signal cut out, one of the infected figures had moved extremely close to the drone camera. Close enough for its face to be clearly visible. Its skin looked pale and damaged, like it had been sick for years. But the most disturbing detail was its eyes. They weren't empty. They were looking directly into the lens, almost like it understood what the drone was. And right before the video ended, the figure slowly lifted its head and opened its mouth, as if it was about to say something. After that, the screen went black. Even today, the hospital still stands abandoned in that forest. Locals say if you go near it at night, you might hear strange sounds coming from inside. Not footsteps, not whispers, but something that sounds like people breathing in the dark.